The Rise of Skywalker is set to introduce many new aspects of the Star Wars franchise that fans have never seen before on the big screen by director J.J. Abrams. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. So what I like so much about Episode 9 so far from what we have been hearing is that this movie really is going to be used as not just a sequel to The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, but it's also going to be used as a sequel to the past 8 Star Wars movies, and that's exactly why we're getting a lot of elements of the prequels and the originals that will be embedded into the story for Episode 9 by JJ, and that to me I think is going to be probably one of the big highlights of the film. Now these past couple of weeks or so we've been learning a whole lot more about this movie, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that a description of Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren entering what's described to be an abandoned First Order base that was described to be the original headquarters of the First Order that contains Snoke's vault, full of secrets. It's described that eventually Kylo and his knights blow open a large blast door that is described that eventually Kylo and his knights go inside, that leads to Snoke's vault, where Kylo eventually comes across a device resting on top of a console where he plays a hologram of a younger Snoke. The Snoke hologram is said to date before the events of the prequel trilogy, where Snoke is explaining that he has felt a strange connection, a dark energy growing somewhere in the mid-rim, where it's said that Snoke admits that he knows that it is Chancellor Palpatine and that he is the Sith Lord in hiding. Snoke mentions that though he knows who it is, that he will watch the dark power grow as he sees him being capable of destroying the Jedi Order. Snoke was not felt by Palpatine during this time, as Snoke wore a device while he was said to be affiliated with the New Republic, and that the device suppressed his dark side energy from being sensed. However, it's described that before the events of the prequels, Snoke had a strange connection to Emperor Palpatine. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, there really is something between both Snoke and Palpatine that are going to be used in Episode 9 to really set up the story of Darth Sidious and the spirit of Sidious in Episode 9. Now, there have been a lot of hints and or indicators that we have been going over, I would say the past 3 months, give or take, that Snoke is indeed Palpatine during the events of the sequel trilogy only and strictly. That's a big possibility, and we have gone over the indicators of that actually being the case. But in the events before the events of the prequel trilogy, this is where the connection between both Snoke and Darth Sidious began. Now, first started off with Snoke sensing Darth Sidious, where Snoke was wearing this device that was able to suppress his dark side energy from being sensed by anybody else in the galaxy, where Snoke was feeling this dark side energy growing somewhere in the mid-rim. Now, this is said to take place just before the events of the prequel trilogy, so right before the events of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. It could be a day, it could be a week, maybe even a month before, for all we know. But this hologram is said to include a younger version of Snoke before the events of The Phantom Menace, where he's talking about this strange connection that he has with this dark side power that is growing, and that he knows exactly who it is, and he's going to stand by and watch to see what he does over the years in an attempt to take down the Jedi Order. So, what's really great about this is that we do know that somehow, someway, Snoke is affiliated with the Republic in some way, shape, or form. Now, what's great about this is that we do know that Episode 9 is going to tap into a lot of elements into the prequels and the originals, and combining those elements to tell a very unique and dynamic story in The Rise of Skywalker. And I think that's a big risk by Disney and Lucasfilm. As I always have said before in the past, it's all a matter of execution and how this movie is going to be written, right? If it's not done well, a lot of fans, are not going to enjoy it. It's not going to resonate with the audience. So therefore, I think that JJ really does have to treat these revelations with great care. So Kylo Ren coming across this hologram of a younger Supreme Leader Snoke that was stored away within the abandoned First Order headquarters that eventually becomes the current First Order headquarters that will be led by, of course, Supreme Leader Ren, the Knights of Ren, and the Red Fury troopers. So this movie really does have a lot going for it. It really does open up the possibilities of what really can be told before the events of the prequel trilogy in future Star Wars movies. There's a lot of hints out there that you know, the new Star Wars trilogy is, of course, going to tell the stories and the times before the events of the prequels, which to me I think is going to be a very excellent idea. Now, J.J. Abrams, we do know one thing about Abrams is that he loves the prequel trilogy. He also loves the original trilogy, and that's exactly why we are getting a lot of those elements in Episode 9. But it's not just that. It's because this movie is marking the end of the Skywalker saga. This is very big, it's historical, and they have to get it right, and they really do have to hit all the notes correctly here to really make the fans satisfied, where they're going to be talking about this movie for years on end. So that's the only thing about this film, is that they really have to hit the notes here correctly, where it's really going to make fans enjoy this movie from start to finish. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one. From night to moon, we hear them moans again.